You're welcome back from that quick timeout. It is still daybreak here on Trust Television. I am Lilian Ogazi as usual, and it's time for our discussion segment. Today, we'll be celebrating the International Women's Day. It's meant to be tomorrow, but I mean March entirely is the month for women. Yeah, I should actually start doing something on women, every morning. Just a little motivation in the morning for women. I think I would start that. Instead of giving general motivation, let's support the women for the month. But then again, March is the month of women, and as we celebrate the International Women's Day in 2025, we are going to be shedding the spotlight on the power of women in leadership, mentorship, and advocacy. So joining me in the studio, we have two change makers who are who are advocating and pushing for women in leadership, pushing for mentorship. When it comes to the issue of mentorship, it's very important, especially for women, and for women to actually take up the mantle of mentoring other women to play critical roles in the sector and grow up to leadership position. These are all angles we'll be exploring this morning. So joining me are two change makers. We have Hauwa Gambo, founder of Sheroes Rising for Development Initiative and the flag bearer of the Vital Voices Global Mentoring Walk. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And we have Aisha Salihu, CEO of Indo's Medley for Voices in Motion and co-flag bearer of the 2025 Mentoring Walk. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, together today we're going to be exploring the impact of women driving change and looking at a more inclusive future for women. Now, given a lot that has been playing out in the polity, it has made some of us as women who are aspiring for big positions in the country question the fate of women in the country. So I'll start with you, Hauwa. Sheroes for Rising Development Initiative. Before we get to all of that, what do you make of all that is happening in the polity at the moment, and how does this make you feel about the standing of women in Nigerian political space, in leadership position, in mentoring position, in advocacy? How do you feel about all that is playing out, given what is playing out with Natasha Apoti? We're seeing the Senate that is male-dominated. Not to play a victim, but let us look at it for what it is. Where does this leave women?
Much more vulnerable. I think it's a very unfortunate and shameful situation, if I may say, because this is something that is happening at the echelon of political power, where you would have expected that, all the people there are very refined, disciplined, and very accomplished individuals that have the moral integrity to be ambassadors, not just for young people, but for Nigeria, both locally and globally. And unfortunately, personally, I don't think the Senate's verdict on the whole matter can be said to be fair. Because in as much as, yes, the Senate has its rules and regulations about conduct and misconduct and all of that, but then why do we always tend to look at the action and not the cause in this country? It is so much more like a tradition that has been ingrained in the psyche of all of us, especially our leaders. They don't look at the cause of the action. They look at the action and they judge the action, not the cause.
All right, now moving away from that, let's talk about Vital Voices, global mentoring and the work that is coming up. How do mentorship programs like that, contribute to empowering women in Nigeria and, giving them voices and also to tackle obstacles they are facing?
That is a very long walk ahead of us, because up to this moment, as you can see, it has played out in the Senate. We still don't have a voice. And that is all the more reason why we all must speak up and say our truth with as much honesty and sincerity as we can, because it seems pretty much like we take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back, especially when it concerns women's rights, women's empowerment, and inclusion in leadership and politics especially. It is a very dicey thing. So the impact of mentoring the importance of mentoring and the significance of mentoring is in the fact that it helps those who are seeking for mentorship and have no space, and have no way and opportunity of getting mentors. Everyone needs and deserves a mentor, especially women. Everyone deserves and needs a mentor, especially women. So we are trying to not only create the space for women to be mentored, but also to amplify the importance of mentoring, especially young women in our society. As you can see, I brought one with me.
All right, so let me talk to you now. We have Aisha Salihu here with us. We're talking about mentoring for young women. Can you share a success story from one you've experienced, a success story of where you've seen mentoring positively impacting, a mentee who is looking forward to it, and, the impact of this for professional growth for women in Nigeria?
Okay. When it comes to my success in my career, I got mentorship not just from women, but I think from both genders. It started from home. I got the support of my parents. They were never against my vision, my dreams, my career. So, but later on in life, I kind of faced some challenges because I'm a woman, and then there are some things that our culture, not religion, culture prevents us from doing, because you're a woman, you're not expected to succeed to a certain level. Yeah. And this is actually culture, but it's weaved to religion. Yeah, because you know how Hausa people do. So a lot of things are culture, but then people call it religion. So that's the only obstacle. But when it comes to like real mentorship, I got the mentorship from my parents. And then the organization I worked before, which is a gender organization, that's Speech Initiative, I got support there. And that was where the inspiration of opening the cafe even came up.
So do you have other girls like you who have, are there other girls, like you spoke about support, you were lucky to get support from family, but do you have stories, or are you aware of other girls who have been held back due to culture and religious or cultural barriers that have not given them the opportunity? What ways do you plan to, speaking and reaching out to them?
Well, first off, by believing in themselves, which is very important, because when you believe in yourself, no matter the voices you hear around you, that belief, that faith you have in yourself will still push you through. And then to actually be diplomatic when you are in that kind of environment with your parents, like finding ways to make them understand, not just by talking to them, but by doing some actions that would not, let me give you an instance. Like when in some homes where they will say that because you're a woman, you're not expected to succeed to this level because, your morals will not be there anymore. So just find a way of keeping that your culture and religion intact, and then as well as working hard towards achieving what you want to achieve, that you can weave the two together, it can be merged.
All right, thank you very much for that. It's beautiful to see you as one who has broken the barrier and has spoken up. I, for one, I grew up in a home where my dad would tell me, if you want to be a truck driver, go ahead and be a truck driver. If you want to be a generator repairer, by all means do it. There's no role that is meant for a woman or a man. So I see stories, but I don't relate to them because I was trained, my father would say, as a boy, not as a girl. I was trained to screw and unscrew bulbs. I was trained to wash the car and check the water and the oil level. I was trained to do things that a boy would do, not minding if gender. So I was opportune to have that growing up. But it's good to see you that you had the opportunity to build that for yourself, and that is something that to make out of. But I'll get back to you now. Let's talk about Sheroes initiative. What is your thought on women in leadership position? There's this notion about women in leadership position, even by women themselves. We'll get to women supporting women. But do you think women have acquired a certain level of leadership positions in Nigeria that they should feel relaxed, or more needs to be done?
We haven't even started. We can't afford to lay back and feel relaxed or comfortable in any way. Because when you look at the numbers are just very discouraging. We are almost 6% below 2019 in terms of inclusion and representation. Moreover, when you look at the gender policy and how effective it is, yes, we have policies, we have regulations, but how effective are they? How has that impacted or made any difference in the lives of the average Nigerian woman? I'm sure a lot of us cannot really relate when it comes to government policies or the nation's policies regarding improving the lives of women. And let me tell you something. The entire well-being, progress, and development of every society is 100% tied to that of the woman. Because I think to a large extent, the nurturing, birthing, and training role that has been over time by both culture, tradition, and religion has given to women has been so dismissed and abrogated to the background and is not regarded as anything. And that is one of the reasons why we continue to witness the birth of a broken generation over and over again. So if we intend to change that dynamic, because everything starts from here, everything is mental. Growth is mental. Progress is mental. Development is mental. Everything starts from here. So if the mind is not healthy, nothing else will. And now when you look at the situation of our country in every aspect, in every developmental index, you will see that there's so much malaise. There is no way that a healthy mind can develop such an unhealthy society. So we have to go back to the drawing board to be able to connect all these missing bits and pieces that have either been neglected deliberately or intentionally. To understand that, see, putting women at the background, suppressing them, oppressing them, and relegating them to certain roles, whether they fit in or not, whether they like it or not, it actually bounces back negatively on the society.
Sure.
The society actually gains more from women's inclusion, especially in leadership and politics. Because trust me when I say this, a lot of the leadership gaps that we continue to witness in leadership and governance is still empty because it is women that are supposed to fill those gaps. A lot of the leadership failure we continue to witness in this country will continue to fail because it is feminine energy that is supposed to fill those gaps. When I say feminine energy, I don't mean just women. I mean the characteristics, the values that women carry, the characteristics that women have, the certain traits and energy that only women carry.
All right, we're pressed of time, but I would love to get Aisha's contribution on something. Now, reflecting on the theme of International Women's Day, which is accelerating action, from your personal experience, beyond the papers, because I always have a problem with the paperwork. So, this is what is on the papers.
Yeah.
Beyond the papers, from your personal experience, what kind of action do you think really needs to be taken to enhance women, give them voices, mentor them, and push them to leadership position?
What kind of
action do you think really needs to be put in place, not just by the government, but by women, other women who are in leadership position? Based on your personal, what would you want to see differently that you think would make women different? For you personally, what's that one thing you'd love? Me, what I know I would want to see is to see women actually being mentors to women for real. Not just women actually supporting women is what I would love to see, but I would love to hear from you. What is that one thing you love to see that even the paperwork of, Senate's bringing out a law or policy wouldn't even matter, but this is what we actually need to support women at this point in time, based on your experience?
Well, I think change needs to start from within us. Like, you don't even have to be in any position to mentor a woman. We have to start from a little circle. So to actually support women, like real support women in terms of their career, support women in terms of, in all aspects of life, in all ramifications. So I think when we start the change from a little circle, that's how it will grow. So basically.
All right, thank you very much. I'll still come back to you in line with what she said. Do you see women actually mentoring women enough, just the way it should be, or more needs to be done in that aspect? And, you know, what are those things you expect to see beyond the papers on the grassroots level that would encourage younger women to want to look up and be mentored and also be interested in affairs of the nation?
More needs to be done. We have women mentors, quite all right. I have women mentors. I have women who are very big mentors in my life, but I don't see enough of them. And there are so many women in need of mentorship that there is not just enough to go around at the moment. So that means more women in leadership need to rise up to the responsibility, because it's actually a responsibility, it's not voluntary. We cannot win the fight, the advocacy for inclusion and all of it unless, as she said, we do our own homework first. And what is doing our own homework first? For the women in leadership position, no matter how little they are, rise up to the occasion to take the responsibility by themselves to understand that it is not optional. They have to pass it down. They have to mentor. They have to raise up other generations of women. Because right now, the numbers of those willing to do that is very abysmal compared to those in leadership. Regardless of the fact that we need more numbers of women in leadership, but those that are there now need to understand that they owe it as a responsibility to the nation and to themselves to mentor women, to pass down the knowledge, skills, and support to the women that are seeking it to enable them rise.
All right. I believe we've said enough for today, and we're looking forward to the walk, you know, tomorrow, to give women the opportunity to find who they would want to mentor and find mentees with level head who are ready to learn as well, because I believe it's an input from both parties, not just from one. Thank you so much for joining us, Hauwa Gambo.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure. And I also just want to mention this quickly. The Global Mentoring Walk is conducted all over the world on International Women's Day, 8 March. And it is usually an all-women affair. But because of the dynamics and intricacies of our own society, we have opened it up to include everyone, including the men. Okay. So we are going to have young men at the work who are going to be paired with older men that will be their mentors. And they are very welcome to extend this mentorship relationship to after the work. Okay. Of course, some of them may not want to, but the most important thing is the impact that will be created within the period of the 1 hour, yes, that the work will take place. Lives will be changed, I'm sure of that, because, you know, sometimes all what a person needs is that one single line of encouragement, of guidance, and of support, yes, to help them change their lives. All right. So I have no doubt in the fact that impact is going to be made tomorrow. We're looking forward to that walk, and we're looking forward to mentoring young people to better positions in the country. We do need it at this point in time. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Aisha Salihu. It's an honor having you here with us. Thank you. I would say you're the most important guest I have today. Thank you. All right. In case you're just joining us, we've unfortunately come to the end of this segment. So we're having a chat with Hauwa Gambo, the founder of Sheroes Rising for Development Initiative and the flag bearer of the Vital Voices Global Mentoring Work, and Aisha Salihu, who is also the CEO of Indo's Medley for Voices in Motion and also a co-flag bearer of the mentoring work that will be happening tomorrow in commemoration of the Women's Day. So yeah, we hope to celebrate women and also create an opportunity for young women and men as well to benefit from it. We'll be going on a quick break. When we get back, we'll be looking at stories that have made it to the front pages of the dailies. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.